David is in San Francisco. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, David.
Hey, greetings.
Welcome.
Hey, funny thing happened to me the other day. I heard you talking about the hemp. Yeah, I don't know if either of you all do bicycle riding, but the other day I was riding my bike, and you know what drafting is?
Drafting is getting in behind a vehicle to reduce your, the wind resistance.
Like behind a big truck, for instance, would be a real good place to do drafting. It's also highly dangerous because
sounds like a terrible idea for a bicycle, but go ahead.
Because if if the truck stops, obviously, the closer you are to it, the less time you have to react. So go ahead.
Sure. Well, in bicycle racing, drafting is a major part of it. So the other day I was riding down the trail, and there was a fellow in front of me that was smoking a fat one, and it was quite a fat one. If you've ever seen what's called a spliff, that's what he was doing. And I realized what he was doing, so I made a point to pace him and draft. So I was doing actual drafting.
That's cute. You got anything else for us, David?
Well, where I was going to go with this, the economy of, first of all, if you were to study how it was outlawed, William Randolph Hearst he and George Bush's great-granddad, a guy named Sam Bush, were involved in the origins of the Spanish-American War. And Sam Bush was a purchasing agent for the Spanish-American War, and they figured out that they could profiteer from it forever. So they made a point to drag that war on as long as they could, seize as much land as they could. And William Randolph Hearst ended up with endless forests, not only in Mexico but in the Philippines as well. And so he didn't know what he could do with his forests. I mean, lumber was an industry, of course, but he figured out that if he was to make paper out of it, his paper would be too expensive. So he decided that he would have to destroy the hemp industry, and hemp paper is not only high quality, but it's cheap. And so,
right, and it doesn't take as long to grow weeds as it does big trees.
Sure, I mean it's going to take a decade at the very least to maybe even more, 2 decades, close to a lifetime to get these trees to make paper. You can have the hemp to do it in a season.
Yeah, so you're right. It was William Randolph Hearst, the infamous newspaper man.
Among others.
There was the DuPont company as well that was involved. Those are two of the biggies. These are the guys who lobbied the federal government, and very successfully, to outlaw marijuana back in the 30s.
Right, and so when you start to look at it from that direction, you realize why they did it and their vested interest in it. But what's even uglier about it, I know that global warming's happening. I see it happening all the time, and I see plenty of proof of it. And when you start looking at how trees are being decimated worldwide, they've been destroying the lungs of the earth for the last 25 years down in the rainforests in South America, and they're doing the same in Africa as well. And the idea that these are the lungs of the earth, and if you destroy all of these trees, that we're going to be in a sorry shape. You see these, not only the hurricanes.
Do you think marijuana is some kind of solution to the destruction of megaflora?
Well, it's a solution to it because when you look at the desertification, like in other words, if hemp had not been outlawed, you could go down to Utah, you could go to Arizona, Nevada, many of these states that they need any bush they can get. They need any scrap of shade they can get. And the fact that they've been outlawing it for 50, 75 years means that a weed, something that in Missouri, which is where I come from, the Department of Fish and Game in Missouri had actually decided to not agree with Richard Nixon in 1972 or so when he created this war on drugs, and they were not going to eradicate hemp in Missouri because it was too important for game birds.
While I'm with you that hemp absolutely needs to be legalized, as do the rest of the drugs, but hemp's not a drug anyway. Hemp should be legalized for the purposes of industrial whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do with hemp. But just to be clear, I mean, forests can be regrown, and the people who own forests, they do regrow them over time. It would be kind of stupid to just
many times the
clear
rainforests
cut.
and these sorts of things are being cleared cut because they aren't
They're not owned.
Right.
That was where I was going to go. If there's forests being clear cut in the United States, it's usually on government managed land where the government managers will essentially lease out the land to some sort of company that's going to come in and literally ravage it and then leave the land after their lease is up. So they don't have the same interest in continuing the sustainability of that land.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.